Yeah. We've got all they're all technically. I don't know. I think we've got a pretty good blend actually. What we've lacked is a bit more explosiveness
Yeah.
up front. Certainly. So, like, that's the key. We need a striker that's a prolific goal scorer, but B, also someone quick who's going to run and really go and test defenders and allow us to slide passes in behind or down the sides for them to chase, so we can get up the pitch and to stretch the game. So, because obviously if you've got a quick striker, it also forces defenders to drop back. So
You don't want to get in a race.
And well, yeah, because like if they hold a high line against us when we got Kai Havertz up front, it's less risky than if we've got a quicker guy. And Šeško and Gyökeres and Ekitike, they're all quicker. Okay, and they'll all make those runs. So that means they'll have to at times drop off deeper. And if they drop off deeper, it should, in theory,
There's gaps.
create a little bit more space for us to go and play and hurt them. So yeah. I do think, as I said earlier, an overlapping left back, a buccaneering left back, is kind of a little bit of a gap for us. But I'm trying to think of other gaps. Really, I don't think there's any major ones now.
It's just more Stardust quality we need to bring in.
Exactly.
I don't think you're wrong. You're kind of the best person to have here because you obviously do a lot of analysis. How do we? Well, obviously you're not Mikel Arteta, and I'm sure he's got his ways. But I'd say for the last 2 years, low blocks or compact units has been an issue of ours. Now, to me, you either stretch the opposition, which we've been alluding to, or you get the more Wenger-y kind of players that are great in the pockets. We've got a couple of players I'd describe as that in the squad. But how could we go about that? Because that is something that's an issue against us now.
Yeah, definitely is. It's the speed of passing for sure. Like you touched on that earlier. It is having that pace option. Someone, because even against a low block, if you've got someone that wants to make a little run down the sides, even if it's a 5-yard run, a 10-yard run, you can slip them in. That scares defenders. But yeah, it's not easy when you come up against these mass ranks. I mean, obviously having a tall guy, with Havertz is big, but you got to get Marino in the box. You got to get Havertz in the box. Šeško, he's massive. If he was to join, then against that low block, you could put those balls into the box with a bit more hope of someone getting on the end of it. For me, it's where we cross from as well. I think too many crosses last season come from too deep. That's what I'm talking about with explosiveness. Okay, that speed to go beyond the last man, and if you can do that against low blocks, what can they do? If you can get to that byline, chop it back, it's a nightmare, absolute nightmare for them. So that's what we need. We need speed, explosiveness, directness to get to the byline, to either flash it across the face of goal or cut it back for players to score. And we, cut inside on the edge of the box, looking to make something happen. We're great at it, but we have to have a bit more in our armory against those stubborn teams. So that's why we're looking at Gyökeres and Šeško. That's why we're looking at
powerful runners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think you're bang on, and maybe I'm a bit naive, but especially when we play low blocks, I mean, there's never a bad time to score. If you could do that in the 90th minute or in the first minute, great. But for me, against low blocks, the quicker you score, the better, because they might stick to the script. But obviously, this is football, innit? They have to attack us. That opens up spaces, like what you've alluded to.
And fast starts are massive against these.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you've got to get one up, get just in their face, get one up, and then they're in trouble because
basketball match.
They can't low block us then. The other point I want to make is in midfield. I think the profile of our midfield, and I think you touched on this, I think you alluded to this, the profile of our midfield has maybe been a little bit too big. Like, I like us being big and powerful, but, if you've got Partey and Rice and Marino, and you got Havertz even there coming into midfield sometimes, like, they're all good players, but are they speedy? Are they quick, nimble, around the court? Are they Santi Cazorla? Are they Mikel Arteta?
On my life, I was about to say that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's those little guys that we're talking about. So Zubimendi, he's a little bit more nimble, isn't he? He can get it. He just flick it around the corner. He's sharp. Ødegaard, sharp. But that's the profile of player, and Eze would bring that, wouldn't he? Because he's
perfect for that.
Really quick across the turf, good in tight areas. Those are the sort of players you want against the low block teams as well. So, yeah, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot, the makeup of the squad is so important. So yeah, could we do with that? One more player that's really sharp and nimble. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you feel then, because you obviously know, like everybody, Partey's going now, Norgaard's coming, Zubamendi's here. I actually think Zubamendi's going to be quite exciting. I know he's a 6, and in that regard, it's very different, but you can see how Partey's out, Zubamendi obviously comes in. I know him and Declan Rice are not the same, but just off the basis of when Rice came in, he was known as a world-class 6. He's more doing all phases of midfield now. I think we're going to see a lot of that in Zubamendi. But then I thought, with Partey obviously leaving and Norgaard coming in, and I look at the fact that we've got Marino, Rice, Zubamendi, and actually Kai Havertz as well, and others. Do you think there's scope then to maybe have pivoted away and go towards like an 8, like maybe Manchester City's Rangers in terms of the profile, or as you said, Santi? Like, is that a skill shortage?
Yeah, it's a different profile, isn't it? Yeah, I think that Norgaard really is more of a replacement for Jorginho, isn't he?
Yeah, squad filler.
But he's more mobile than Jorginho. He's got good legs, even though he's in his 30s. He's very energetic, and he'll put a lot more pressure on. He'll probably be better without the ball than Jorginho. And in a good team like ours, I think he'll show himself on the ball as well. I think he'll be neat and tidy. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I can see the reasoning behind bringing him in. I can. Yeah, look, as I said earlier, I'd like us to just try different shapes at times and go with a 4-2-3-1 sometimes, or go for a 4-4-2. Where you stick 2 up top. What about Havertz and Gyökeres, or Havertz and Šeško? If Ødegaard for whatever reason's unavailable, he needs a rest or he's injured, could we try that with a Rice and Zubamendi in midfield? That would be, pretty exciting, with Havertz maybe dropping in off the front to lead.
He is a willing runner, Havertz.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But Havertz can also drop in and play as a 10, because I think if you to ask him what his position is, and I don't think anyone really knows, I think he's probably his best as a striker, but as a proper number 10, I think he could do it. I don't really see him as that 8 guy particularly. He can do it, but it's not his best. I think playing just as a support striker, that could work really well. So
very intelligent off the ball.
Yeah, he's a brilliant, intelligent player. He can do everything. I'm a fan of Havertz. He's smart. His movement is unbelievable.
He's very intelligent.
Yeah, so Havertz sort of up with the main striker, like a quickie. That excites me. But then, obviously, could we see Ødegaard playing a deeper role this year? A little bit like Santi Cazorla did in the end.
I think
he came back in and played there. So a lot will depend on injuries and who's fit and available, because you will have to adapt. But yeah, look, once we've done our business, I'm pretty sure that the fabric of the squad is going to be strong.
I don't think you're lying, man. You've been touching on it, yeah. What do you make of the adaptation period? Because as you can see, I'm very bullish about Zubamendi in all phases. Yeah. I understand, I think a lot of Arsenal fans, unfortunately, are probably over it now because we've been linked with him for a number of years. We're just happy to see that one drawing conclusion. But it's like that. What do you think of the adaptation period? Because whether it's a young guy like Šeško or someone that's 27 scoring goals for fun like Gyökeres or Zubamendi, we kind of want them to hit the ground running, in which I'm sure we'll put our best foot forward in that regards. But they are human. They are adapting to new teammates and leagues and things of that ilk. So what do you make of that dynamic?
Well, I'd just get them in early, hopefully. Maybe we're waiting for the 1st
hopefully this
July.
Week.
Yeah. Hopefully we're waiting for the 1st of July, for the financial year, for the clubs that you're buying them off. Because they might want to say, they might have asked us to let's not announce it, let's not do the deal until July, because
scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Exactly. Yeah. So pre-season's massive, isn't it? And for the adaptation, obviously, the Premier League is, but I don't see it as being a problem for Zubamendi at all, really. I mean, physicality wise, he's obviously not as big and strong as some of the guys, so they might try and knock him around a bit. But I think he's so good that maybe they won't be able to get near him. That's my hope anyway.
Intelligent.
And the Premier League is more European now than it used to be. There aren't many teams that rough you up like they used to. They all want to play good football. They're all technically good these days. So, yeah, it's less of an issue. Yeah, it's just the speed, the intensity of Premier League football is the thing to get used to. Hopefully, Zubimendi will be fine. I think the strikers will be fine because whoever comes in, I would expect them to kind of rotate with Havertz a little bit. And I like rotating strikers because I think you have to be sharp. You have to be
There's
explosive.
too many games. We need to.
You don't want to burn them out. So I don't think whoever we sign, whether it's for 50 million, 80 million, 100 million, you don't have to play them every game from the start. You can, have one on the bench that comes on and finishes a game and have one start. That's how you're going to hopefully conserve the minutes this season. For me, this summer is about beefing up the numbers, obviously with good
which we seem to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Beefing up the numbers so that Mikel can go on the hour. Bosh. Thank you very much, Kai. On you go, Viktor or Benjamin or whoever it is. Go and finish the game for us. Because it's not just about the starters, but because we were so stripped last year for injuries and whatnot, our bench was weaker than almost every other team in the Premier League at times.
Barely had a bench to put out, really.
Exactly. So that's the big hope is that that will change this year.
I mean, we've been talking about strikers, so I've got to ask you. Obviously, we are at the point as Arsenal fans where I think we can recognize, in the modern day, strikers are not just standing in the opposition box and bagging. You're almost the first defender. You got to pull to the channels, as you said. You got to drop deep. I always describe it as a sacrificial lamb. I think it's almost an impossible job. We want you to score goals, and you have to, but then you have to drag defenders with you to allow Saka and to a degree Martinelli and Trossard to benefit. But I think a lot of go on.
It's hard work playing up front. I did it sometimes. As a winger.
Yeah, it must be mad, man.
You make him run after run, and a lot of the time you don't get the ball.
And so people only care if you score, really.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be fit and you got to be sharp. That's why I'm saying, City do it with Haaland, and I think it's a bit detrimental. I think obviously the arrival of Marmoush will help him there, but you can, and maybe that's why Haaland doesn't move much because he knows he's going to play all the time, and he has to conserve his energy for the right moments. But if you've got enough numbers, you can go to your striker and say, right, just give us everything for 55, 60 minutes. And then
come on.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's really important because you've got to drag defenders, especially if you play for Arsenal, where they know that they're scared of you, they're going to get defenders back.
It's a tough job.
Yeah, you've got to drag people out of their comfort zone. And the only way you do that is if you run. So we need some really sharp players this year, and hopefully we'll get them.
I'm dreaming, but can I dream of 2 strikers arriving in the summer? I know I'm dreaming, but where would you be at with that?
Yeah,
I know I'm dreaming.
Well, I mean, you've got Jesus who's there. You see, we forget about him, but I mean, I don't know when he's going to be fit and
speedy recovery. Jesus.
But if we got 2 strikers and Havertz and we got Jesus, then maybe that is overkill. I don't know. I think the key is to get a goal-scoring wide player. Yeah, that is the key to not needing 2 strikers.
Like what Liverpool had with Mane and Salah.
Exactly that. So, you get Rodrigo, you don't need 2 strikers because I think he will chip in with enough goals. Look, I don't think the budget will surely permit. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have a bottomless pit.
I don't think. No, exactly. I think you have to be realistic. So it's who, and I am a little bit on the fence. I've got a very open mind on it. I could form an argument for the 2 names that we've been talking about for God knows how long. I can form
Let's hear it
to say why each. So yeah, all right. Well, let's start with Gyökeres. I think Gyökeres has that explosiveness. He is explosive and he works hard, and he will run down the side of defenders. He'll go left, he'll go right. He will be a nightmare for centre backs.
Strong man.
Yeah, and he's strong. And he's for now. And I'm not worried really about the leagues that he's played in because the Championship. Okay, it's a different level to the Premier League, but he was great in the Championship. And then
it's not easy to bag in the Championship.
No, and players that have bagged in the Championship have also bagged in the in the Premier League.
Exactly.
Look at Liam Delap, for example. Chelsea have snapped him up. There's no issue, is there? Actually, quite a similar style of player. And yeah, he's a bit older. He's probably got less to his game. I'll say, you know, he's maybe not got an amazing touch, you know, and stuff like that. Has he got that much skill? Maybe not. Does he score that many headers? A few, but you know, but what he will do is he'll one touch, bosh. He'll stick it bottom corner.
Once he gets in the stride,
he'll smash it in. He'll run down the side and score. He'll score different types of goals inside the box.
Can hit free kicks as well. If
Yeah, it's a good penalty taker as well. So I think that he will score loads for a team like Arsenal that will create plenty. So I'm not worried about Gyökeres. Šeško, I don't know if he'll score quite as many goals at the start as Gyökeres, but he is a better all-round player. He'll offer you a bit. He's got a bit more finesse about him. You know, he has got the touch. He has got the skill. He'll maybe score different types of goals, more spectacular goals from outside the box. He'll have more of an aerial threat. Probably not quite as explosive as Gyökeres because he's a bigger guy, but he's still quick enough to run in behind. He definitely
They both got the physical qualities to thrive in this league.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a picker. He's younger, which is obviously an upside. For me, it would, and I know this might sound silly, but for me, it would be I'd want, if I was Mikel Arteta, it would almost come down to my chat with him. It would almost come down to that.
I see why you say that.
It would be, I like you both. You know, he's not going to sit in the same room with them, clearly, but he's going to have a chat with them, I would imagine. And it would be who wants him more, who really, really wants to come and play for the Arsenal, who really can't wait to be a teammate of Saka and Ødegaard. You know, who is a student of the game, who is hungriest to win trophies. You know, who he thinks the bit more of a winner out of these guys. It would almost come down to personality for me between the two, because I think both have got the traits to be huge success stories at Arsenal, but it's the mental side of it for me, and that is down to Arteta and Berta, who are talking to the agents, to the players themselves. They're the ones that are having that relationship. They've got to suss it out and decide which character will fit in best with the boys, which character is the hungriest to deliver and succeed. And you know, whoever that is, I hope we go and get them.
It's a tough one because I can see the potential risks around both signings. I can see the potential, you know, upkeep. I think the one thing that I would kind of sway me, because Šeško is more my sort of player, and I think personally, without knowing anything, that's the one we want. I just think, like what you said, Gyökeres he's a bloody good player, and it's right now mode kind of thing, and he's had some highs and lows in his career. So you've kind of got that kind of headspace. You've done it in the Championship, you've done it in Portugal. I mean, people can, you know, laugh at the Portuguese league, but he's playing for one of the biggest clubs there. He's having the desire to get over the line. I don't know how Sporting Lisbon fans looked at it, but they could have taken what I would say is a conventional footballing view, like, oh, why are we signing a striker from the Championship? So he's having to kind of prove them wrong. It's now or never. Like, I know people talk about 27 like you're 97 years of age, but within these 5 years, you've got to kind of succeed. So it's a sweet gig. I like Šeško. I think where you look at our team, we've developed that kind of late teens to mid 20s all across the side. So obviously Šeško ties into that. We've been linked with Šeško's for years. So if I take links for gospel, clearly we've been watching him. We know how he can help us in the short, medium, and long term. And I mean, fans would have to put up with either striker because they would have signed for the club. But I just feel fans are maybe impatient now, and they're kind of in win now mode. And I think Šeško would kind of be one of those players of tomorrow. Where you kind of were alluding to the mentality and providing an interesting perspective, as you was talking, I must admit, subconsciously I was going to Šeško because he speaks about like study, a bit like Miles Lewis Skelly, like studying Kobe Bryant and mindset and sleep, and I like his physical qualities. I know people don't want to hear it, but he can run very fast and he can jump very high on top of being a very good player. And I only care if you succeed at Arsenal, of course, but there is the scope of resale value and things of that ilk. So it's a weird one where you pivot in either direction. I personally think Šeško's the one, and I think Sporting are playing a bit of hardball, but I'm at the point now, Adrian, if I'm honest, just sign a striker. Whether it's either one, just sign a striker. We'll dissect all the stuff after. Man.
They're playing off against each other a little bit,
exactly.
But then each club is then probably trying to say, well, it's not just you. You know, Sporting want, man. They're desperate for Man United to be in the mix. You know, Leipzig are probably desperate for someone else to come in and threaten to scupper that move so that they can negotiate a better deal. I think Berta's trying to play them off against one another. You know, maybe the Ekitike rumours. just
Even
jog.
that one, that's another one.
Yeah, but even that, it could be just to jog Šeško or Gyökeres into
Make
sort
your
of
decision.
yeah, make your mind up time, because otherwise we might go for someone else. It's a lot of that goes on, you know. I'm sure in the negotiations. So yeah, I think I'm 51% Šeško, 49 Gyökeres, because I think Gyökeres
Exactly.
can make
Yes.
it work. You know, so I'm probably with you. I think Šeško probably suits the team more. He would fit in seamlessly, I'm sure. And he kind of is made for us. And for me, the every player has a different peak. Mine was probably when I was really young. But you know, look at Michael Owen, for example, or Robbie
Good
Fowler. You
example.
know, their peaks were sort of 18 to 25. Beyond that, I didn't do that much. Most strikers score the most goals between 23 and 29. That's their peak years.
That's their prime.
So in that sense, Šeško would probably be the guy. Gyökeres, you've got a smaller window, but you know, there's a lot I like about Gyökeres. You know, just think about that game we had against them. I know we battered Sporting, but he gave Gabriel and Saliba a tough time.
Good run for their money.
He gave a similar tough time as Isak did. You know, Isak really is the only Premier League player that's outplayed Saliba and Gabriel. You know,
He'd be the dream, to be fair.
yeah,
but
exactly. But it's not happening. But Gyökeres did unsettle the pair of them. So that is an indication of the threat he would carry. So yeah, let's see.